everyone, it's Sharonda from Pay or Wait. Today we'll be reviewing the Netflix film In the Shadow of the Moon, was directed by Jim Mickle, and this movie is written by Joffrey Tock and also Gregory Weidman. This film stars Michael C. Hall, Boyd Holbrook, Cleopatra Coleman, Bokeem Woodbine, and this film really centers around Boyd's character Locke, who is a police officer that's investigating a mysterious strings of murders that happen every 9 years. And so basically, as more murders continue to happen, the mystery continues to unfold, and that's pretty much what the general basis of this film is. As I said, you know, guys, I kind of gave a movie trailer, so I have been going into movies blind, and I will definitely say for this one, you really need to go into the movie blind because I feel as though that too many plot points will be given away. And because of that, I'm not going to dive very deep into the story. Once again, this will be another vague review because I do want to protect the viewing experience, because I think that also determines the satisfaction or dissatisfaction that you have from a film after watching it. So for those of you who are new to my channel, I tell you what I liked about the film, what I didn't like about the film, and since we're not paying to see this in theaters, but you're paying for that Netflix subscription, I'm going to tell you if it's worth giving it a stream or not. So going into what I enjoyed about this film, guys, I always complain about pacing, and the first 30 minutes of this film has you hooked. I have action. I have murders happening. I have a mystery happening. I don't know what is going on, and then I get this little sci-fi feel to it on top of it. And I love movies that do a very great job of mixing different genres. This is kind of like a crime thriller because you're trying to figure out like what is happening to all these people. How are all of these things happening? What is Cleopatra Coleman's Raya, what is her tie-in to this? Like, how is she able to carry out these murders? And so that is what keeps you invested. That's what keeps you watching. There's a lot of action that is happening. Action just in how these acts are carried out. And then also, too, with the interaction from the different characters as they're trying to track down this serial killer. So what I would say that the film does a very great job, and I don't know if that's more so due to like the writing of the story or also to the direction of the film, but it does a very great job of sucking you in. And that's so important when we watch Netflix films because we're watching this at home. So if the movie doesn't really pull you in the first few minutes, I'm going to pause and I'm going to go to something else. And so I think that was one of the things that really had me invested as soon as the film started. They cut right to the chase. Now, also, too, I want to say I enjoy the role that Cleopatra Coleman plays as Raya. It's a very interesting character to use as this serial killer. And as we kind of learn more about who Raya is, it makes it even more interesting that they cast this woman as this character. I think it even adds to kind of the payoff at the end of the film to see that she was chosen to play Raya. And it's so vague, but it'll make sense once you get to the end of the film. And I like the ending of the film, how they try to tie everything together. But as I get into the cons, I'm going to talk about how I liked the ending when I first watched it. But after I sat and let the film marinate and let myself really think about it, that's when I tended to have issues with how things basically wrapped up. But those are pretty much everything that I really enjoyed about the film. I'm going to get into a little bit of the cons that I had of it. Now, it's funny because most of my cons are going to be what I initially loved about the film. As I say, it is very action-packed. It's very fast-paced in the beginning of the film. However, as we start getting into these consecutive 9 years, the story tends to get a little bit repetitive and it tends to slow itself down. And I think this is because it stops really focusing on the serial killer, like the murder mystery of like what is happening to these people every 9 years. And it really centers around Locke and how he deals with this case and how he can't explain what's happening, and really just his like this downward spiral that his character goes through as he becomes so consumed with trying to track down the serial killer. And I think the film would have been a little bit better served pacing wise if we focus on how these different murders happen every 9 years. You know, does the serial killer up the ante every 9 years? Like, how are they carrying this out? I felt as though that would have been a little bit more captivating to me. That would have kept my engagement in the film. And so it kind of loses its luster in the middle part of the film, all the way up until we get to kind of the last like 15 minutes of the film. It starts to pick up a little bit more. And also too, so going into the last issue that I have was the ending. So when the ending first happened, I was like, oh, that's cute. I see what you guys did there. I see how we brought all of this together. But as I started to think about it, I had a little bit, it made me have more questions. I was like, so if that's the reason why this happened, we could have ended this movie like a whole hour ago. I was just like, that doesn't make sense anymore. And then also too, I need you to explain the reasoning behind it. So I think that the ending will be kind of divisive for people. It's a little political. And I think, but that made me have even more questions. And maybe it's a movie that's supposed to make you, after you finish watching it, you just start to think like, well, why are they doing this? Like, why did this happen? Like, why was this a decision that was made? I was just like, yeah, I just had like a lot more questions, and it just made me not really care for the ending. And I felt as though that the ending was a little bit rushed. I feel like we kind of drew this out with all these consecutive like 9 years, and we get to the end, I'm like, yes, this is what I've been watching this movie for 1 hour and 55 minutes for. And it's just like, oh, we're just gonna end the movie that quick. Like we like wrapped it up. And I was just like, we could have took our time with this. Like you took your time with everything else. I wanted you to take your time with this ending for me. But overall, I really enjoyed this film. I had a great time. It's a good sci-fi Netflix film. Well, probably one of the better films that I've seen all year to come out on the Netflix platform. But they got some good sauce coming for you guys. I saw a couple of the films at the Toronto International Film Festival. There's some great films coming out. But I would have to say that like if I'm chilling at home on a Friday night and I just want to Netflix and chill, I would definitely tell you guys that it's worth the stream. It actually made me wanted to learn more about this world. And that's probably another pro that I did have for the film, the world building. As we see how these things unfold, it just made me even more interested. Like, oh, I want to know how this happens. And I want to know how that happens. Like I could watch a series off of this. And you guys know how I feel about sequels and stuff. But I can watch them turn this into a series. I would definitely watch that. Like that will make me want to learn more about this world and just to see what else they can do to expand upon it. But yeah, so those are pretty much my thoughts on In the Shadow of the Moon. As always, my name is Sharana from Pay Your Weights, and if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. I'll see you soon.